This story was told by my mama many times when I was growing up. To lay a bit of a foundation, my mama grew up in a little spot on the map in rural Mingo County, West Virginia named Nolan. The family was dirt poor and mama and her brothers and sisters often went hungry. The family's only close neighbor was an old lady that everyone referred to as Aunt Kate. The old woman lived alone and had what I assume was cataracts because mama said her eyes were white. Aunt Kate's husband was serving time in the state penitentiary at Moundsville for murder. Anyway, due to their near constant need for food, mama's dad planted a vegetable garden. The plot of land that they used was a good piece from the old home place where they lived. My mama said this one particular summer was very hot and that copperhead snakes were abnormally active. Because my mama loved her daddy, she reported that she would follow him everywhere. On this particular day, my great-grandfather and my mama pushed a large wooden cart to the garden and collected some of the vegetables that were ready to eat. My mama said that due to the heat and the difficulty of pushing the large wooden cart to and from the garden spot, that the two of them were wore out. As they neared the home place, they had to go by Aunt Kate's home, and as luck would have it, the old woman was setting out on her porch as they wheeled the cart by. As the two nearly pushed the cart by without incident, they heard the old woman holler out, "Harrison, give me some of those beans." Due to the difficulty that it took to raise, pick and transport the vegetables, my great-grandfather replied, "We worked hard for those beans and I am not going to give them away." The old woman giggled and replied, "Well, you will wish you did." Thinking nothing of the old woman's threat, my mama and her daddy continued on their journey and carried on the evening without thinking about what the old woman said. That night, everyone went to bed. My mama had 6 or 7 siblings and shared a bed. Oftentimes the older siblings would force the younger onto the floor to sleep. So this particular night, as most, my mama was on the floor to sleep. My mama said that as she began to fall asleep, she heard it. Something began towards her room from the hallway. Now my mama knew the sounds her mother and father made as they moved within the old slab-board house. Because of this, she immediately used what cover she had to pull over her head. According to her, whatever was walking continued through the hallway and into her room and would stop where her head was laying on the floor covered up. It would then turn after a few seconds and continue back into the hallway where it would disappear, only to return back down the hallway to where she lay. Mama said that this happened all night long. She told me that she lay there paralyzed with fear all night long. As the sun arose, whatever was walking disappeared and she heard her daddy moving around. She stated that she immediately jumped up and ran to where her father was. Mama said that as she entered where daddy was at, he was putting on his shoes. When he saw her, the two locked eyes and she immediately knew where the thing was going when it left her room. When her daddy had finished putting on his shoes, he immediately went and put a bunch of green beans in a poke and headed out the door towards old Aunt Kate's house, mama following after him. As they approached the old woman's house, they noticed that she was sitting out on her porch as if waiting on something or someone. Mama said that her daddy tossed the beans up onto the porch and proclaimed, "Old woman, take your booger back." To which the old woman smiled and said, "Don't worry, Harrison, it won't bother you again." I was raised by my mama and watched her life as an example. She was a devout Christian and lived it. I never saw her drink, curse or do anything that she thought was a sin. I was made to go to church nearly every time the doors were open. She always claimed that the story of old Aunt Kate was the truth and I believe her. If you like, I have a couple others that she told.